Hello and welcome back to a very special episode of G&G News. Today we are going to be reviewing none other than the amazing Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 4/5. The reason why I say that is because this game can be played with the backwards compatibility of the PS5. I managed to get the platinum for it, so we're going to start this off by saying a couple things that I like about the game. The game has a lot of heart. It has some cool extras that any Spider-Man fan would love, like unlocking full Spider-Man comics that you can read. I think there's a selection of 11, there may be 12 comics that you can completely read through. You can read every single one of the panels. There are statues of characters that you will encounter in and throughout the game that you can also unlock as well, that give little bios of those characters in particular. There is a somewhat challenging arcade mode. So there's an arcade machine in a comic book store that we're going to speak about in a second, that none other than Kingpin is in control of, and you get to play these challenge modes that basically challenge all the different abilities of Spider-Man. They get harder and harder throughout. I did struggle with one of them, but I managed to get all of those done. If you do all of those, you actually get a pretty cool trophy for that. There's concept art as well that you can unlock, of different parts of the game that you get to see, drawn in a cool cartoon-ish art style. So that's pretty cool to see. Also, when you go to this specific area, which is the comic book store, it's owned by none other than Stan Lee. And yes, he actually does the voice acting for his character, and his name is Stan. He isn't using a different name for his character. You will also get to interact with Stan at some points in the main story missions. Collectibles that you can get in this game, such as audio logs from famous characters such as Black Cat, Kingpin, Harry Osborn, and that's just to name a few. There are quite a few of those that you can collect. Obviously, we both know that Peter Parker is a photographer. That's his normal job. So J. Jonah Jameson has you taking pictures, mainly in missions and some in the open world for the Daily Bugle. There are races dotted throughout the city to extend the playtime of the game. There are a total of 300, that's right, 300 comic book pages to collect scattered throughout the city. And trust me, some of these were very hard to find. But once you get a certain upgrade, it becomes a lot easier to track these down. But it does still take a long amount of time to get every single one of those comic book pages. And even though some of them are made easier to find with that certain upgrade, they're still not the easiest to acquire. There is a skill tree to upgrade your skills for combat: web swinging, spidey sense, web rush, which is like a hyper fast attacking mode for combat, and much more. Not to mention all the suits you can unlock and level up in this game. Also, they've introduced a menace system. Basically, there are car chases, petty crimes, people to save from burning buildings, civilians to save in general, bombs to defuse, and so much more happening constantly around the city that you have to pay attention to. There's a meter that appears on the screen, and if you don't help, you will soon become seen as a menace by the dirty old task force, who will not stop until they have squashed Spidey like a bug. There are 3 levels of being a menace. Level 1, you see a couple of enemies. Level 2, it starts to ramp up a bit more, and level 3, you will just be continually pursued by the task force, and they put up force fields that stop you from using your web abilities. They put up nets that will catch you just swinging around the city. They have like flying turret guns, turrets mounted on buildings, and it makes the game pretty fun as well. To be honest, I preferred playing the game when you're in level 3 of the menace mode, because you really have to think about everything that you're doing when you're just interacting throughout the city and you're not on the main missions. There are also some side missions where you have to take pictures of crime scenes, dodgy suspects, and police evidence. For a game that is almost over 11 years old, there is a lot to do. This game came out in 2014, and I would know because it took me over 100 hours to get the platinum for this game. Some of the things I enjoyed was swinging through the city using the L1 for the left arm and the R1 for the right arm. making it feel more realistic to actually web swinging and making it a better web swinging experience. But this game does have some flaws, such as a lack of enemies to fight. There are a total of 5, maybe 6 different enemies to fight, and except for 2 types of enemies, most can be defeated very easily using the same sort of methods. The music and the sound effects are very loud, making it hard to hear conversations, hence why I have paused the game into the menu mode, just so that I can do this review. The city also quite big, but the side missions are very rinse and repeat. For example, you'll save someone from being stuck on a boat, you'll save someone from a burning building, you'll save someone stuck next to a generator, you'll save someone from being kidnapped, and the voice actors a lot of the time sound the same. I would say there's a few voice actors that they've used for this game, in particular for the NPCs. There's probably about 3 different female voices and maybe 2 different male voices, with such a repetitive side missions. It seems like you're saving the same person sometimes. Also, the game has a kind of weird habit of crashing, making recording gameplay sometimes impossible. The main missions, this is my biggest gripes with this game, there are only 14 main missions, and without spoiling anything from a game that's over 11 years old, you get introduced to a secret villain like right at the end of the game. But that's it. Pull curtains, end the game, it's over, and it doesn't get paid off. If I feel like there was a planned DLC that was supposed to come out for this game, but it never came out, and it's a real shame that they didn't, because for someone who's put in over 100 hours for this game, there were points where it felt like there wasn't a lot to do. I think the reason why it took over 100 hours to get the platinum for this game is because some trophies in this game, like collecting the 300 comic book pages, and leveling up all these suits, took up a lot of playtime, because you had to repeat doing a lot of side missions in order to get to those specific levels and to get all of those comic book pages. If they added DLC, it would really extend a short game, but all in all, it is still a good game. The enemies also sometimes can't see you when you're stood right in front of them, and other times they are completely relentless, being able to spot you when you are not in their line of sight at all. I feel like they could have done this slightly better, and it could have been balanced slightly better, but what do I know? I'm not a game developer, and shout out to all the game developers who put in a lot of time and effort, obviously, into making this game. So in closing, I would say this game is enjoyable. For any Spider-Man fan, this is something you're definitely going to enjoy. One of my favorite things about this game is we all know about Spider-Man's wit. When you're fighting, he's continuously making jokes while battling enemies. Web swinging just felt very immersive. J. Jonah Jameson messaging you saying how bad you are at taking pictures, because in this game, by pressing the R3 button, you have access to a camera, so you can take pictures for J. Jonah Jameson, you can take photo investigation pictures, and you can just take random pictures if you choose to. Unfortunately, it doesn't save your pictures, but it does make you feel like Peter Parker, because if you are a Spider-Man fan, you would know that he obviously is a reporter for the Daily Bugle. So yeah, it's a game that I've enjoyed a lot. One of my favorite things as well is the cool variety of different suits that you can use. The few bosses that you get to face, some iconic bosses, some returning bosses from many other Spider-Man games. The challenge mode did feel like you were beginning to understand how to use Spider-Man, as they do get harder the more you play through the game. But to truly make this game an amazing Spider-Man game and not leave you wanting more, it needed more main missions, it needed more side missions, more enemies, it just needed more of everything. I would give this game a solid 5 out of 10. I'm glad I played it, but oh boy, does it make me appreciate Marvel Spider-Man 1, 2, and even Miles Morales. 100 hours plus it took to get the platinum. Was it worth it? Yes. But was it amazing? No. P.S. Why do enemies guard Spider-Man suits? It just seems a bit odd for them to do so. So there are hideouts that you get to encounter in the later stage of the game. So to acquire a few of the suits, you have to like break into a hideout, not alert anybody by taking everyone down via using stealth tactics and stealth takedowns, make your way over to the suits that are dotted about, and that completes that little hideout mission. I believe there's 5 in total to get, so there's 5 suits that you can get via that method if you want to get every single suit. It just seems a bit strange that they would be creating and hiding Spider-Man suits. Also, no disrespect to any of the game developers, as after doing a bit of research, I found out they had to rush to get this game out in time with the release of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. So as an added extra for everyone who has stayed right into the end of this video, I will now show you all of the suits that are available within this game and give you a little bit of a description by reading the description for these suits. So here we go. Okay, let's start this off. So we have the Amazing Spider-Man, and as the audio description that you're gonna get will say, my first real Spidey costume, all sewn back together after a lot of wear, good as new, still kind of smells like the time I spent in the sewers fighting the lizards and chasing down cross-species monstrosities. Though so this one has critical hit damage, increases the damage caused by Spider-Man when he executes a critical hit. Sticky potency, decreases the amount of web pellets needed to stick enemies to objects. Sticky duration, increases the duration enemies or objects remain immobilized by the web. Then we have the Amazing Spider-Man from 2014. Gwen made this costume after my previous one was pretty much torn to shreds after a too close to encounter with a turbine. Long story anyway, my best look ever if I do say so myself. Also, it does tell you like when the first appearance of this suit was. Damage boost bonus, increases the damage caused by Spider-Man's melee attack. Combo streak bonus, Spidey's combo streak will increase more rapidly than before. Shooting rate, increases the rate at which the web shooters can shoot web pellets. Superior Spider-Man, not sure what I was thinking with this one. It's like what an evil genius would design if he switched brains with me and tried to prove that he could be a superior Spider-Man. Actually, he probably add weird tentacles that come out of the back too. I didn't go that far. So this is about, well, what he's describing is when Doc Ock did exactly that. He switched minds with Spider-Man to prove that he could be a better version of Spider-Man. So this is his variant and suit. This has a critical hit rate, makes it easier for Spider-Man to pull off critical hits on enemies. Damage bonus, increases the damage caused by Spider-Man's melee attack. Critical hit damage, increases damage caused by Spider-Man when he executes a critical hit. Now we have the Ultimate Comic Spider-Man. The comic stand has a bunch of weird Spider-Man comics, but I think Ultimate Comic Spider-Man is my favorite. Not only does Spidey's costume look great in it, but the writer even goes as far to identify me as a kid named Miles Morales, who lives in Brooklyn. Way off, but in some ways not. When I found Oscorp tech that looked a lot like the costume they designed just for the comic, I figured, hey, why not make my own Miles Morales suit? So this is based off Miles Morales' suit. So it has shooting rate, increases the rate at which the web shooters can shoot web pellets. Damage res, decreases the amount of damage Spidey receives from enemy attacks. Healing rate, increases the rates at which Spider-Man can heal himself. Now we have big time. Oscorp tech I was able to pull into the suit. Straight up looks like something Max model at Horizon Labs would produce. Maybe after I graduate ESU, I'll hit the big time and get to work there. Until then, I'll just appreciate the extra dose of stealth I get in these dubs. So the stealth efficiency, enemies will have a harder time to spot Spider-Man from a distance. Spidey sense range increases the radius of Spidey and Spider-Man's spider sense ability. Takedown range increases the range at which Spider-Man can trigger a stealth takedown on an enemy. Now we have the Scarlet Spider. So there's this Spidey comic in Stan's shop that isn't really even a Spidey comic. Its whole premise isn't even about Spider-Man, but rather some formerly evil clone of mine who seeks redemption for his sins in Houston as the Scarlet Spider. So weird, looks cool though, and the Oscorp tech I just acquired just happens to adapt to the look nicely. Heroic bonus makes it easier for Spider-Man to keep his heroic reputation. Blunt res reduces the damage and duration of the stun effects caused by blunt weapons. Fire res reduces the damage received from fire and explosions. Next up we have Spider-Man 2099. Thanks for the experimental unstable molecules Oscorp, but I've gotta say this design looks like something a lucha wrestler will be wearing at the end of the century. It feels like a little out of place in this day and age, but look what I normally wear, who am I kidding? Damage res decreases the amount of damage Spidey receives from enemies. Damage bonus increases the damage caused by Spider-Man's melee attack. Electric res reduces the damage caused by electricity and the deactivation delay of the web shooters. Now we have flip side. I could swear it's like Oscorp was trying to create an Android version of me with this tech. Now that I've gutted all the roboty parts, it fits like a glove, really insinuates my six-pack too. Accentuates my six-pack. Healing rate increases rate at which Spider-Man can heal himself. Ballistic res decreases the damage received from firearms. Damage bonus increases the damage caused by Spider-Man's melee attacks. Now we got the Spidey armor. Gotta say the Oscorp tech in this suit is sweet. Practically bulletproof. Practically. Damage res decreases the amount of damage Spidey receives from enemy attacks. Combo streak bonus. Spidey's combo streak will increase more rapidly than before. Critical hit rate makes it easier for Spider-Man to pull off critical hits on enemies. Now we have the Hornet. So you get this one for completing all of the combat challenges in the arcade machine in Stanley's comic book shop, which is called the Comic Stand. This one's straight out of a Halloween store, but who wouldn't want to dress like the sensational Hornet when they fight crime? I've only been a fan of his comics since like forever. It got even better when he joined the Slingers. Too bad the costumes wings don't work. I'll have to settle for good old web swinging. Combo streak bonus. Spidey's combo streak will increase more rapidly than before. Spidey sense range increases the radius of Spider-Man's spider sense ability. Critical hit rate makes it easier for Spider-Man to pull off critical hits on enemies. Now we have Ricochet. This is one of my favorite looking suits. People say Spider-Man is amazing. This guy is amazing. Been reading the Amazing Ricochet since they started in 1998. When I found this jacket with the perfect R on it, on its back, at the thrift store, I couldn't help but put the rest of the costume together. Maybe I'll adopt the persona myself if I'm ever having an identity crisis. Seismic radius increases the radius of the explosion created by a seismic blast impact, so that's one of the upgrades that you get via the skill tree. Seismic speed decreases the amount of time needed to charge up the seismic blast ability. Ionic potency reduces the amount of ionic webbing needed to weaken enemies' armor, so the ionic webs basically break down armored enemies so you can attack them. Spidey Carnage, you get this one for completing the main story, all 14 missions of it. Did I get a little too close to Cletus Cassidy at the Ravencroft? I mean, I suddenly feel like, oh no, God, no, 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 yes. I am reborn in blood and agony. I am remade into the bringer of death and destruction. Chaos is my only love and carnage is my name. Spidey Carnage. Healing rate increases the rate at which Spider-Man can heal himself. Damage bonus increases the damage caused by Spider-Man's melee attacks. critical hit rate. Makes it easier for Spider-Man to pull off critical hits on enemies. Vigilant. Ah, memories. My first costume. I mean, I guess I could put it on again for old time's sake. So if you've seen the Amazing Spider-Man 1, you'll recognize this costume. It's basically just a red balaclava and some sunglasses that he's like kind of glued to his balaclava. So damage bonus increases the damage caused by Spider-Man's melee attacks. Heroic bonus makes it easier for Spidey to keep his heroic reputation. Stealth efficiency. Enemies will have a harder time to spot Spider-Man from a distance. So they are all the suits. So thank you to everyone who stuck around until the end of the video. If you've enjoyed this review, leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you haven't done already. I may go back and review all the other games that I have managed to get the Platinum Trophy for, because I believe that I'll be able to give a detailed enough review for you guys who may be thinking of picking up some of these games to play. Please go and check out The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Regardless of all the things that I said that weren't good about it, there are many good things about this game, and I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on post notifications if you haven't done already, and I'll see you all soon, Spider-Man fans.